It's now my sincere pleasure to introduce our next speaker, a good friend of mine and a person who I've had the opportunity to serve with both on the Monument Commission in making this monument happen, and that's Major General Harold Cross. Major General Cross retired from the military in 2008 after completing 40 years of honorable service. As United States Air Force Command pilot, he logged over 5,000 flying hours. He is a Vietnam-era veteran, led Mississippi's airmen in the invasion of Panama, and was a combat veteran of Operation Desert Storm. He directed the Crisis Action Team in Washington during and after the attack on 9/11. In his last assignment, he served as Mississippi's Adjutant General, commanding over 12,000 soldiers and airmen of the Mississippi National Guard. General Cross commanded Mississippi's military response to Hurricane Katrina and has been with our soldiers and airmen in Afghanistan and Iraq. His many combat and peacetime medals include 2 U.S. Air Force Distinguished Service Medals, 2 Legions of Merit, the Aerial Achievement Medal, and the Expeditionary Forces Medal. General Cross is a graduate of Mississippi State University, Mississippi College, and the National Defense University. He was retired with the rank of Lieutenant General and presented the American Red Cross Save the Day Award, as well as the G.B. Sonny Montgomery Leadership Award. His literary works include They Sleep Beneath the Mockingbird and A Soldier from Faulkner. The General and his wife Carolyn reside in Flowood, Mississippi, and they have 2 children and 5 grandchildren. Please help me welcome Major General Harold Cross.
Thank you so much, Randy, and what a great privilege and honor it is to be here today, a great day in Mississippi history. The day we honor so many people who once fought for us. You know, we're all shaped by the memories of our childhood. I was born and raised just across the Mississippi line in Tippah County, and my first memories of this battlefield go back to when I was 6 years old. My grandfather brought me here. He was an old man. He was crippled. He had a bad right knee, and he had to walk with a cane. But he had been here earlier in the turn of the century, right after that, and had walked this field with some of the veterans who fought here. And he wanted to tell me what happened here and show me some of the salient points. I remember him with his cane pointing out the rugged bluffs of Pittsburgh Landing. And he showed me places like the Peach Orchard, the Bloody Pond, and the Hornet's Nest. And I remember him pointing to an old oak tree, Stacy, that was still here then, that had a plaque on it where General Johnston reportedly fell. And then he pointed out a lot of the beautiful monuments up there around the bluff. And I asked him, Papa, where is a Mississippi monument? And he said, well, I don't think they have one. And years later, I came back to this battlefield to camp with the Boy Scouts. And as a senior military officer, I brought my battalion commanders and my company commanders here to walk this field on staff rides so that we could study the time-honored principles of warfare that never change. Things like simplicity, surprise, unity of command, mass, maneuver. And the question would continually come up, sir, where is the Mississippi monument? And I used the same response as my grandfather, I don't think we have one. Well, that probably wasn't the best answer. There were other answers I could have given. It wasn't that we'd never had the will. The state of Mississippi always wanted to put a monument here. But in the year after the Civil War, I did some research, and our budget showed that over 20% of that budget went to purchase artificial limbs for our veterans. We had over 70,000 veterans from Mississippi that fought the Civil War. In the days of Reconstruction, there just wasn't any money. And after the turn of the century, what little bit of money could be scraped up was usually used by small communities to put some sort of a monument at their court square to honor their local veterans. But today, we come here to this spot to finally answer the correct answer to that question. Where is the Mississippi Monument? It's right here on Ray Field in this beautiful rolling terrain. It's in a peaceful spot. A peaceful spot. Now, 6,000 Mississippians fought here, as you've been advised by these learned historians, and they were conspicuous on every part of this battlefield, from Owl Creek to Lick Creek, everywhere. But we chose this spot. We chose this spot because it's here that we can very clearly document where Mississippians from Rankin, Scott, and Simpson, and Leake, and Copiah County came across, organized as the 6th Mississippi Infantry Regiment, of Pat Claiborne's 2nd Brigade of Hardee's Corps, and engaged Colonel Jesse Appler's 53rd Ohio, suffering 70% casualties. They lost 8 color bearers in that charge. Colonel John Thornton, their commander, himself severely wounded. One of their senior officers, Major Robert Lowry, shot in the chest and the leg, later to recover and become Mississippi's 32nd governor. Just in this area, right along here. So let this monument, although it's here at Ray Field, stand as a great monument for all 6,000 that served here, everywhere on this battlefield. Let it stand for those who gave all their life's blood here, those that were killed in action on this battlefield. Don't look for their individual gravestones, as their families, I'm surely am comfortable that they did come and search for where their grave spots were. You'll only find a few burial trenches, one right over this ridge, that were common burial trenches for the ones that they could find and put in trenches. But let this monument right here forever be their collective tombstone. All of those that died from Mississippi on this gallant battlefield will always see this as your tombstone. Let it also be a tombstone for them, but also for those who were wounded here. You know, they say in battle, everyone that fights as a soldier is wounded, either physically or mentally. Many of the Mississippians that fought here were not able to live out the full arc of their life because of devastating injuries. Many came home without a limb and couldn't plow their crops, or couldn't clear the land, or couldn't rebuild their homes, or otherwise stand up to the rigorous demands of Mississippi farm life. Some never able to reconnect with their families because of the traumatic experience of carnage they suffered on this field. Think of them when you see this monument. It's for them too. All that served here, all were wounded. Never, ever forget why they fought. All of us who have been in battle know it very, very well. They fought, the Mississippians that came here fought not just as much for the enemy they hated in front of them, but mostly for what they loved behind them. Because there's a place called home. And home is what continued to spark their remarkable courage on this battlefield. I'm reminded of the words of Edgar Guest. The things that make a soldier great, that send him out to die, to face the flaming cannon's mouth and never question why, are lilacs by a little porch, a row of tulips red, that great, great line that says, home, home to us. No, the golden thread of courage isn't linked to Castlestone, but to that spot, wherever it be, that humble spot called home. They see their families' faces, they hear the bugles call. No fear of death can stop them now. They're fighting for us all. Home. Home, back in Mississippi. Never forget, by the way, who they were. He was a store clerk from Carthage. Never been more than 30 miles away from his home. But he donned a uniform, picked up a rifle, tore away from the claw-like grips of his little children and the loving embrace of his wife, joined the Quitman Southrons to do his duty as God gave him to see that duty. He was a 16-year-old boy from Crystal Springs whose daddy had just given him his first own corn patch to plant. But he felt the calling of his local militia, the Crystal Springs Guards. He was a middle-aged 41-year-old farmer from Water Valley who refused to let his 21-year-old son go unless he came along with him to protect him. He was a young lawyer from Coffeyville with a budding practice, but he left it to join the Yalabusha Rifles to come forward to protect his family and his children and their hope for the future. He was one of 11 from the same family from a little community called Bluff Springs in Tallow County. All brothers and cousins, each not willing to go unless they all came along. And they joined the Long Creek Rifles of the 15th Mississippi Infantry and came forward to this battlefield. And 6,000 other brave Mississippians with just as heartwarming story. All from a family who loved them. All coming forward because they wanted to protect their homeland. These are the Mississippians we honor today. Some of them didn't return. Perhaps lying in front of the hornet's nest as a young Mississippian drained his last life's blood out, he thought of his mother in Columbus. Perhaps charging through the peach orchard with bullets riddling his chest, his last thoughts were of his newborn child back in Hillsborough. Perhaps his last moments were in the Bloody Pond, a community pond where some tried to gain relief in their last moments of life. Perhaps his memories were of his grandfather and grandmother in Clinton. Perhaps on that muddy road back to Corinth in a wagon, his life's blood slowly drained out as he thought of his sweetheart in Grenada and what might have been. Never forget who they were. What message do we bring to them today? What message do we, 153 years later, their contemporary Mississippians, say to them today if we could speak to them? Well, I think collectively it would be that we never forgot you. I think collectively we should say that we brought a piece of home for you today. To put right here on Ray Field, a piece of Mississippi, crafted from the gifted hands of a fellow Mississippian, Dr. Kim Sessers from Brookhaven. To say to you that we love you and we'll always remember you. But your memory won't be just relegated to marble and bronze and mortar. It'll always be in our hearts and spread across the pages of our history. What message do you think they would bring to us today? Now, the beautiful poem that Randy read certainly would be among it. But what message would they convey across that vast chasm of time of 153 years? I think it might be the same message that the angels brought to the shepherds 2,000 years ago. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Oh, the courage of the Mississippi soldiers of Shiloh. Let this beautiful monument stand for their courage when you come and look at it. We've needed that courage many, many times before and many, many times after. Since they fought here, Mississippians have had to find the courage to get up and go to the Philippines and to Cuba in the Spanish-American War. They had to muster up the courage to go with General Pershing in the All-American Division of World War I. Tens of thousands of Mississippians had to muster the courage of these soldiers to come out of their homes and form up with the Dixie Division of World War II. Mississippians had to dig deep down in their core to find the courage to storm the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944. Mississippians had to find the same courage of the soldiers of Shiloh to mount a little rise called Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima in 1945. And they had to find the courage to weather the climate at Chosin Reservoir and fly the Mig Alley in Korea. They had to find the Shiloh courage to walk the rice paddies and the triple canopy jungles of Vietnam. They had to find the courage that the Mississippi Rifles found to go to Kosovo. The 155th Brigade Combat Team had to take buckets of your courage into the Triangle of Death in Iraq. The 2nd Battalion of the 20th Special Forces from Mississippi had to find your courage to take to the Hindu Kush Mountains of Afghanistan. Let this monument also remind you of the great courage of Mississippi warriors. This is their monument. Let us also remember today in closing that we should never forget our past. We should never forget our history, no matter how busy we get, how much distractions we have. We should always look back from where we came. The American Civil War comes down on the conscience of the United States precipitously. And it forms tributaries that wind their way around the contours of our diverse culture. But eventually these tributaries go through the heart of every American. There, some of their waters quench the thirst of genealogical mystery. Some of their waters uncover nuggets of unknown fact. Some of their waters flowing through our hearts still leave the sediments of discord. But some of their waters provide a cool drink that refreshes our honor and our courage and our valor. And then those great tributaries come out and form a great confluence and create a river of unity. Of one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And there, fed by all the other tributaries of American history, they flow in one direction, unabated, with a strong current toward our future. And from those waters, we occasionally have to dip a cup and drink from it of our past to rekindle our energy, to rekindle the resolve of America, so that we not only will remain a citadel of freedom, but a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. I hope each and every one of you here today, all of you, especially you young people, will come back to this battlefield when you're old, even if you had to walk by a cane like my grandfather did. And I hope you'll bring your grandchildren. Tell them what happened here. Show them, like he did me, the rugged bluffs of Pittsburgh Landing, the Hornet's Nest, the Bloody Pond. Point out these great salient places on this battlefield. Show them some of those beautiful monuments up there. And when the inevitable question comes up with a little grandson tugging at your pants leg, Papa, where is the Mississippi Monument? I hope you'll make your way over across Ray Springs, or around this road, to this beautiful, pristine, lovely field. And you'll raise your cane and point at this structure. And with pride and exclamation say, there it is. There it is. And I was here on October the 10th in the year of our Lord, 2015, when it was dedicated. God bless Mississippi. God bless the memory of our soldiers who fought at Shiloh. And may God forever bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.